Welcome to the garden. And welcome to the kitchen, which is where we're going to start the introduction today because I'm avoiding doing this outside where the neighbours might hear. I don't want them to think that I'm weird or more weird than they probably already think that I am, but we'll get outside soon. The plan for today and maybe through the rest of this week is I want to spend a bit of time outside in the garden, just looking for some painting inspiration and enjoying whatever wildlife happens to turn up, which is a bit of a change of pace to what I've been doing recently, and there is a reason for that. If you haven't watched these videos before, my name is Rachel and I'm an artist and I love wildlife and I really like being able to try and combine the two. And usually that happens in my Artist Diaries series, so I head out and find lots of different wildlife to share with you, and then we try and find something cool to paint. And I was trying to do that on a weekly basis. And then this year happened and it's been so lovely outside. I've been spending most of my time just exploring, looking for painting inspiration, which has been really nice, but it has also meant that I haven't had a huge amount of time for painting. And everything's been a bit chaotic and a bit of a rush, and it seemed like now is a good time to try and reset a little bit and go back to what I was doing before, where I'm trying to do this on a more regular basis and just find something each week to paint. And I thought it'd be nice to start a bit closer to home, and you can't really get much closer to home than right here, so that's what I'm gonna do. And also, I'm going to change the name of this series. So up until now, this has been Artist Diaries, but because a lot of the focus recently has been on wildlife and nature, then I feel like that should be in the name. So we're going to be called, or I'm going to call this, An Artist in Nature. So these videos moving on, I'll number them and they'll be An Artist in Nature. But if you want to watch the previous ones, then they will be Artist Diaries. Stop rambling now and have a look outside. Thanks for watching. Let's go look for some painting inspiration. I started out with the roses because I thought they would make a nice backup option if nothing else turned up. They're not at their best, so they wouldn't make a great painting at the moment. They're kind of just losing their shine a little bit, and the new buds haven't come out yet, so we're at a weird midway point with the roses, but they will do if there is nothing else that turns up. There's a few things that you can do to try and enhance a painting of a rose if you want to make it a little fancier. You can play around with the perspective and just try and photograph it from different angles to see what you think would be nice. You could wait for some insects to hang around, and so then you've got a focal point. You could add some water droplets, although we did have some rain overnight, so there were some water droplets, and that can be a nice feature in a painting. Or you can simply try and take pictures of them in fancy lighting, so early on in the morning when you've got that nice dawn light, or even later on in the evening as the sun is setting and there's more of an orange glow. I think this year has been a bit of a weird one. We've not really had a huge amount of rain, although it did rain a lot last night, but besides that, we've not had a huge amount, and so everything just seems like it's at a weird stage. Like the fuchsias haven't grown as much as they normally would do. The lawn is in a weird state. It's not been mown for ages, but it's just not really growing. There's some buttercups, and the white clovers and self-heal seem to be doing pretty well in the lawn. I think that's the start of wild carrot growing. It's so small.
but I needn't have worried about having to rely on the backup roses because it turned out there was quite a lot that I could be painting.
I haven't been out here for very long, but already there's been 3 different either bees or hoverflies hanging around, so hopefully that's a good sign that we'll find something cool to paint today.
I really like getting footage like this and getting a bit of an insight into the life of these bees and hoverflies. However, the favourite bit for me from my first day of being in the garden looking for painting inspiration was the fact that I could actually record birds and other wildlife. Because if you've been watching these videos for a while, you will know that I have been a bit restricted with what I can show you because I record with my phone. So if something is close up, that's great. Or if there's a nice landscape, I can show you that. But usually, if there's something cool and I can see it myself or I can see it with my binoculars, I can't actually show you it. I can explain it, but I can't share it with you. However, I have got myself a camera. After about 4 years of saying I'm going to get one, I have actually got one. And one thing I wanted to do in this garden video was just practice using it a little bit and test it out on some of the birds that I saw. And so I was really pleased to be able to get some close up pictures of birds in the garden that I haven't been able to get up until now. This pigeon was a little bit shy. It didn't want to sit in the garden too much once it noticed that I was there, so I had to be very patient waiting for this little guy.
I'm playing hide and seek with a pigeon while he decides whether he's brave enough to come around the corner.
Eventually, a feral pigeon, or a racing pigeon, or a homing pigeon, whatever you want to call it, was brave enough to come into the garden. And once that was there, I think the wood pigeons felt a little bit safer, so it just needed that one to take that first step. And then there were birds everywhere, and it was really lovely. We don't get a huge variety of different garden birds, but we do get a lot of pigeons. I don't really mind that because I like pigeons. And for a long time, we mainly got wood pigeons and collared doves. But about a year ago, we started getting racing pigeons turning up. I was out putting the washing outside one day and I turned around and there was just this bird sitting right behind me. And he was so lovely. I named him Edward. I mean, maybe he has a different name, but I called him Edward. And I think this is Edward in the video now, but there were 2 similar looking birds, and I don't know if Edward was replaced by this one. I'm not entirely sure, but I am calling this one Edward at the moment. And then Edward started to bring a friend who we'll name Beryl. And from those 2, we gradually escalated, and now there's a flock of pigeons that visits very regularly. In fact, there's more than one flock, there's just a lot of pigeons around the area. And I like them because I like the fact that they're different patterns and you can tell them apart. And then because they're a little bit braver, I think that makes the wood pigeons a little bit braver too. And so if I'm outside and I've been there long enough and they just get used to me being there, then it meant that the other birds came down as well. And so I like them for that reason too.
Red kite just flew overhead and called, and I didn't have my camera, but I'm going to try and fix that for next time. It is the second day of looking for painting inspiration, and I'm probably not going to spend as much time doing that today because I got loads of things that I could paint from yesterday's efforts, which was really lovely. So today I'm just going to look for a few bits and pieces and see if there's anything else out there that we could try and find. But last night I spent a bit of time looking for creatures in the dark. Just before I went to bed, I thought I'd spend like 5 minutes outside and just have a look and see what was about. And I ended up spending ages out there because the honeysuckle smells really nice on a night. I don't know if that is a thing. Does it smell nicer on an evening maybe than it does through the day, or is that just, I don't know. It smells nice on an evening, and I thought I would wait around there and just see if any creatures turned up. And there was loads of really little creatures that I'm not entirely sure what they are, but it was nice watching them. And I think I saw an elephant hawk moth, which is so cool. And I didn't get a picture of it because it was just a really quick pink blur and it was around the house and then it was gone. But because I'd seen it, or maybe seen it, I decided to just hang out and see if it came back again. So I was so tired just standing by this honeysuckle waiting to see if something turned up. It didn't come back, but I did see some other things. I'm just hanging out by this honeysuckle to see if anything turns up. I think I heard an owl. I've not heard it since I started recording. I was hoping I might see some bats, but I think I might be a bit early, maybe. There's some hedgehog food out down there, and some water, just in case. I didn't get to see the bats yesterday, and the hedgehog food was out, but I didn't see a hedgehog, but that's really quite hit and miss. So I might try again this evening and just see what I can see. But yeah, let's go have a look for some more stuff to paint. Oh, I see the red kite. Okay, I see the red kite.
Red kites are now quite a common sight close to where I live, but back in the day they were not doing quite so well and they were almost extinct in the UK. But now there are over 6,000 pairs, I believe, in the UK, which is so great. And to see them right overhead, right where I live, is such a nice thing to be able to do.
One thing I really enjoyed about, or I am really enjoying about this, is that it's very relaxing. It's lovely going exploring, and I really enjoy going on long walks and finding nice scenery, but it is nice to do a bit of both. And it's been so nice just sitting in the garden and looking at the same wildlife and getting to see different behaviours, like the sparrows yesterday. They were really sweet, just watching them squabble and eat and drink and just flutter around, and that was really nice. And there's been swifts overhead, although I've not done a great job of filming those. There was a wasp yesterday drinking from the top of this, and that was very cool. And wasps are not one of my favourites because I've been stung by them twice when I was little. And one moment, wait for a plane to go overhead. So wasps, it takes me a little while to get used to them, and I don't like to get too close to them because I think there's still that underlying worry, you never know. But yesterday watching that one drink out of the water over there was just really cute, so that was nice to see from a distance. It was nice to see, but yeah, and I'm enjoying it.
House sparrows are another frequent garden visitor, and they are just very lovely. They didn't seem to mind that I was outside, and I think that's probably because the feeder was tucked into the corner, so I ended up with way more footage of house sparrows than I really know what to do with. House sparrows will usually travel around in flocks, so you'll normally see quite a few together, and you can tell the males and females apart. The males have that lovely brown cap and they have a little black bib, and they've got a black patch on the top of their head. And that black patch on their head separates them out from tree sparrows, which look quite similar. Tree sparrows also have little cheek patches, which the house sparrows don't have. And also, tree sparrows, male and female, tend to look quite similar. I don't know why I said tend to. They look similar. They are not as distinct as the male and female of the house sparrows, which look completely different. Another thing that helps me to decide that these are house sparrows is the fact that tree sparrows are much rarer in this area, and I'm highly unlikely to see one. I think I've seen one or two that arrived one day and I was really excited and I got a very distant photo, and then I've never seen them again. And I'm not entirely sure why they were there in the first place, but I'm very pleased that they were. But besides that one very odd occurrence, it's much more likely that the birds in the garden are going to be house sparrows.
A baby wood pigeon. How cute! He doesn't have the white collar like the adults. So cute.
Everywhere I looked, there was painting inspiration. Just going out for 5 or 10 minutes, I was completely distracted by creatures everywhere. There was a bee buzzing on the honeysuckle, there were birds eating in the garden, house sparrows on the feeders, and then there was this beautiful comma butterfly that landed after I had gone inside, and I looked out the window and saw it and ran right back out again with my camera trying to get a picture. It looked like it was drinking. It wasn't drinking directly from the big pool of water, but it was just tasting around the edge. And I don't think I've ever seen it do this before. We don't really get butterflies landing in the garden so much. They're just usually quick flybys. So this was such a treat.
It feels a bit like the day shift has ended and now the night shift is starting. And there's so many cool things to look for that I just want to stay out here, but I really should go to sleep. Bats keep flying right over my head, but way too quick for me to video. And I don't want to go inside in case the elephant hawk moth comes out again. Oh my goodness. This is so cool.
It took me such a long time to decide what I was going to paint, and I ended up going backwards and forwards between lots of different ideas because I couldn't really settle on just one thing. In the end, I decided to paint Edward, and I think that was partly down to the fact that I have been able to use a camera which I usually don't get to use. And so I really wanted to make the most of being able to see something that normally would be out of reach for my phone. So Edward was a good choice. Before I started trying to pursue being an artist as a career, I didn't know that this was something that you could actually do or even try to do. I think I had this kind of misguided impression of what an artist was in modern day times, where if you wanted to be an artist today, it would involve painting abstract things or painting something more modern or working on a modern art installation for a fancy gallery. And because that was something that I didn't think I would be able to do, and also because I was more interested in realism, I never really pursued being an artist. And I think even over time, as I started to realize that there were artists out there that were painting realistically, there was still part of me that thought, well, maybe I would struggle to do that because a lot of the work that I saw other artists doing seemed to have some deeper meaning behind it. It was telling a story, or it was supposed to convey a feeling, or it had a message that was in the artwork somewhere. And my work did not have that. And so I felt like it was maybe at a disadvantage. And I wondered if I would struggle to break into this career if my art didn't seem to have a specific meaning. And I'm still at the start of my career, so perhaps it will. I don't have all of the answers yet. A lot of the reason why I paint something is because I think it's a nice thing to paint. When I first started, that was my only reason for painting things, because I thought it would make a good painting and it looked pretty. Over time, I've started to paint more of my own references, and I guess there's more meaning there when you are painting something that you have some kind of connection to. But the main focus has still been to paint something that looks nice, like a bird or a flower, wildlife, a beautiful landscape. The theme has been the same, and it's been to paint something that I think would make a nice painting. There's not really a deeper meaning behind a lot of my work. The main thing that really drives me to paint is I want to paint things that make me happy. I want to share experiences that I really enjoy, and I want to paint something that I happen to find really lovely. And I kind of think that that is meaning in itself. Now, to the untrained eye, this might just look like a random painting of a feral pigeon, but it's not. This is a painting of Edward. This is a painting of the pigeon that turned up just over a year ago and sat behind me while I put the washing outside. This is a painting of the pigeon that started to wait for me every morning when I went out to feed the birds, eventually bringing along Beryl, his friend. This is a painting of a pigeon that temporarily went missing for 2 days, and I panicked about him to the point where I almost cried because I was worried something had happened to him. And this is a painting of a pigeon that eventually turned up 2 days later with a dodgy looking wing that eventually seemed to have healed itself. This is a painting of Edward, and I think that's all the meaning this needs. As long as a painting has meaning to you, and that meaning can be as simple as you just find it makes a pretty painting and you like the look of it, then that is all the meaning that it needs. And the meaning doesn't just have to come from the subject itself, but it can also come from the process of painting it. Whenever I look back at this painting now, I'm going to think of this lovely time spent in the garden looking for painting inspiration. I'm going to think of me trying to film bats as they flew over my head too quickly for me to photograph. I'm going to think of the elephant hawk moth. And I'm going to think of all of the lovely creatures that I saw right outside my window. Whiling away a summer's day with pigeon, bee, and sparrow, trying to decide if it's safe inside this haven, green and narrow. Screeching swifts soar and glide across a sea of blue. But on the ground, it's safe and quiet in this space I share with you.